Nothing But the Truth. Hello, I'm Raj Chengappa from India Today and your host for Nothing But the Truth. Every week, we will focus on key issues of concern and bring you perspectives and clarity as to why they matter to you and the one clear truth that emerges. Those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it. These are the words of a famous philosopher, but for the state of Israel, this has tremendous import. That's because history has a dreadful habit of repeating itself in Israel. Clarity as to why they matter to you and the one clear truth that emerges. Those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it. These are the words of a famous philosopher, but for the state of Israel, this has tremendous import. That's because history has a dreadful habit of repeating itself in Israel. What we are all now witnessing or watching in Israel are tragic scenes of death and devastation that are in many ways rooted in Israel's turbulent history and past. The latest episode began on October 7th, one of the holiest days for Jews and one of celebration for the entire community. But as it turned out, unfortunately, it became one of tremendous sorrow for them. It was on this day that Hamas, the militant nationalist Palestinian group which controls the Gaza Strip, chose to launch an unprecedented and horrific terror attack on the people of Israel. Hamas militants fired more than 5,000 missiles on major Israeli population centers, accompanied by land and sea offensives. The attack left more than 1,200 Israelis dead, mostly civilians, and another 2,700 wounded. What was astounding was the failure of the Israel Defense Intelligence and Security apparatus, which had no inkling of Hamas plans and its ability to launch such a massive attack. Israel, in fact, had in the past few decades built up a fearsome reputation of its ability to defend itself and launch preemptive strikes against groups antagonistic to its interests, such as the Hamas. This included the so-called Iron Dome, a network of radars that detect incoming rockets to Israel, and a command and control system capable of destroying these rockets mid-air before they can inflict any damage on the country. With the Hamas attack taking such a heavy toll of lives, Israel's citizens will certainly take their Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, to task for the massive intelligence failure. But faced with such a grave attack, even the opposition parties have, for the moment, agreed to be part of a national unity government to punish Hamas rather than call for Netanyahu's ouster. On his part, Netanyahu declared that his country was at war and vowed to finish off the Hamas. He ordered the Israel Defense Forces, or the IDF, to launch major airstrikes against select targets in Hamas. These left the densely populated Gaza Strip devastated. Over 1,100 people were killed, mostly civilians, and another 5,000 plus injured in just the first 4 days of the IDF's counterstrike. IDF, or the Israel Defense Force, destroyed more than 500 residential buildings by their airstrikes, which left an estimated 250,000 homeless. And that is the toll, as I said, just 5 days ago. Simultaneously, Israel announced a fuel, food, and electricity blockade against Gaza, and as we speak, was preparing for a major ground offensive. The situation is heading for one of the worst human tragedies that the world may ever witness. So in this episode of Nothing But the Truth, we will look at why Hamas carried out the terrorist attacks or the strikes and the Israeli counter-strikes and the impact. Also, we would look at what would be the possible geopolitical repercussions of the ongoing conflict and why India should worry. But first, let's look at why